all right. Hey, everybody. It is Lenice, the remix coach, and welcome to More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films. The only way that Leroy and I know how to do it, the good Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., my bro ham over there. We both had a love for movies, and we started this 4 seasons ago. We're almost going into the fifth season. And the first movie we ever did was Love Jones, and then it was on and popping from there. I guarantee you we've done your favorite movie, whether it was Love and Basketball. Somebody just asked me today, when's the last time I saw Love and Basketball? Y'all know I love me some Sanaa Lathan. We did Brown Sugar. We did Love and Basketball. We did Boomerang. We did New Jack City. Whatever your classic Black film movie is, we've done it. We've done an Eddie Murphy month. We've done a Spike Lee month. We've even done a Tyler Perry month. We've spotlighted Angela Bassett. We spotlighted Loretta Devine. We talked about Jennifer Lewis. We even went behind and Ruth E. Carter, the first Black woman to win an Oscar, an Emmy for wardrobe. We've done every movie that you can think of. We've done all the Terry McMillan, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, Disappearing Acts, Waiting to Exhale. We've done everything. So the end of the fourth season, which is now, Leroy and I were saying we need to do faith-based movies for the month of May. So some of you watching, if you normally watch, you might say, well, that's not a classic Black film. I just said we are doing faith-based movies the month of May. See, the beautiful thing is this is me and Leroy's show, right? And we want to inspire you. Y'all know that's what I'm about. That's what Leroy is about. And
say that again for the folks on the loges that might not have heard you. This our show. we, we do what we want to do, how we do it, the way we do it. Okay.
Hey, right. And we elevating the Lord this month. You know,
not the Lord.
The Lord. Right. And I think if you get me and Leroy around, we always gonna bring up the Lord somehow anyway. It's just that's the way it's gonna be, right? But we do a review show different from others because this is not a review show. I'm the remix coach, he's the impact builder. And we talk about life. We talk about real life. We talk about what's happening, what's going on, and all of that stuff through the movie. So today we are doing For the Love of Ruth. Now, if you watched last week, you know I've been telling Leroy about this movie for a minute. And last week, live on the show, I said, we got to do For the Love of Ruth. I done seen it 11 times, and it has so many gems. And the first time that I watched it, when it first came out, I didn't even realize it was Ruth and Naomi in the Bible and Boaz, even though his name wasn't Boaz, but I didn't even realize. And then when I watched it again and again and again, I was like, oh, so this was connecting the dots and understanding it. And I've watched it so many times. So I told Leroy about this movie last week. Tell him how many times you done watched it since last week.
I actually watched it like 3 times over the weekend because I watched it myself on Friday, watched it again with my family on Saturday while we were down visiting my sister. All of us watched it then.
And when you said that, I was like, that's so sweet. You watched it with your family.
Yeah, because I told them about it, and it's really a family movie. You know, it's one of those movies that the whole family can enjoy, whole family can talk about. And then I watched it again. It was either Sunday or Monday. I watched it again. I was just like, it was that compelling to me. It was that good. And I mean we'll get into this, but the acting, you know, you talking Loretta Devine, Gary is it Dourdan or Bourdan? Dourdan. Gary Dourdan. Mm-hmm. Gary Dourdan, who is a great actor, him in and of himself. Everybody might remember him from Shazza from a Different World. If you go back that far. Or CSI. I think he
And
was on
yes,
one of the CSIs. He
but
was
he will always be Shaza to
yeah,
us.
yeah. That's definitely one of those standout roles that he and my he was the chef from Jumping
Jump
the
in the
Broom.
Broom. And
Yeah,
we've
he was
done
the
that
chef from
movie
Jumping the Broom.
too. I'm telling y'all, we've done all your favorite classic Black films. We did Jump in the Broom too. And the way we talk about the movie, we give it a different life. That's why it's called More Than Just a Movie. Leroy, do you know so many people are doing what we're doing now? And
Well,
before we started
here's the
doing it,
thing.
I've never seen anybody doing it in this way. And my
Yeah,
daughter
but
watches a lady that's doing it, and I'm like, they're doing what we do.
here's the thing. People and this and I don't like, I guess, the folks that do reviews of video shows, if that makes sense, because you know
Mm-hmm,
how people are like the I'll give this example, the Ayanna Van Zant and Ebony Williams,
mm-hmm,
her grill show.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Folks do reviews of that, of stuff, like they do reviews
Yeah,
of other videos, which I think is just crazy. We do movies. We talk about movies and we correlate it to real life. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there may be other folks that do reviews of movies, but like you said, can't nobody do it like we do it. So, they can
no,
try to
and it's
emulate.
so funny because
Yeah, they can try to
yeah,
emulate, they can try to duplicate, but as I've always learned in business, nobody can do what you do how you do it, because
yeah,
it's our we have our own fingerprint,
yeah,
and the way that we do, and the way that we talk about things. So it's not going to be like anybody else. Everybody else
no,
can, they can do their thing, but I
yeah.
promise you, you won't get from them what you get from us. I promise you.
Uh-oh,
You
he
just
said he promised.
I know that. I know that because you have two genuinely on authentic character, character driven, character driven individuals, integrity and driven individuals who are bringing you their take on on art imitating life, but then also life imitating art, and
Yeah,
we make that crossroad. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
I agree. And my
Yeah.
daughter was watching something because my daughter loves review shows on YouTube, my oldest
Oh,
daughter.
okay.
And
Hmm.
I'm getting ready to start another kind of show that I'm going to announce tonight, um, right after this. But she gave me an idea, and I was like, "Duh, mama!" My daughter was like, "I don't see why you didn't do this a long time ago." And I'm gonna say what it is, but my daughter was watching a review show and she started doing it on movies, like her
Hmm.
perspective on the movies, like that she saw when she was younger, now her adult perspective. And she'll be
Oh,
having
okay.
thousands and thousands and thousands, and she talks about some of the movies like we talk about. And I was
Hmm.
like, she just started the show. I was like, wow. Um, but that's the closest that I've tried to see, them get to. All right, so we're talking about the movie For the Love of Ruth. It's a faith-based film tied to the Old Testament story of Ruth and Naomi, but without overwhelming viewer with the dialogue that promotes. It says, um, so I guess like me, if you don't know that you're watching that, you don't know that you're watching that because it's loosely based, but it still is based on that. So the more that you watch it, the more that you see, like, wait a minute, hold up, is this what? And it's so entertaining. It's so good, as Leroy said. Loretta Devine, Denise Boutté, Gary Dourdan, James Pinkins Jr., Dr. Weber on
Yes,
Grey's
Grey's
Anatomy.
Anatomy.
You watch, I watched that. And um, a host of other amazingly talented people. It was directed by Christine Swanson. Now, Christine Swanson used to do like the BET movies, like a lot of the movies that we have. Like, I have a big collection, a big DVD collection of Black films. like that maybe a handful of people seeing, or now a lot of people have seen. But when we were getting them and supporting them, and they were the BET people, this, I'm taking it way back. BET used to have a book collection called Arabesque Books,
Yeah,
and it was
yeah,
made
yeah.
by BET, and then they would do these movies. Well, I got the whole collection of them. My kids grew up on them. They know these movies, and now some of
And
them are filtering through YouTube and different places. And my daughters are like, "Oh, people are watching them now." And Christine Swanson is one of the directors and the creators of writers, I should say, of one of our favorite movies, All About Us. But go ahead.
now, I mean, I just and to your point about BET taking those the Arabesque books and making them into movies, I'd said that years and years ago that there are plenty of black authors books
Mhm.
who could be made into movies,
I would love
should
my
be made.
novel to be made into a
Yeah, to
movie.
be made into a movie. And even now, and I hope authors that are watching and listening understand that your movie doesn't have to be in the big screen now. Doesn't have to be in
Mhm.
the movie theaters, because movies
Mhm.
aren't in the movie theaters long at all.
Mhm.
At
They're
all.
not. They're like in the movie 3 weeks now.
Yeah. you know so don't, when you think about your book being like, like this, and being on a smaller screen, you can have it on a BET or TV1,
Mhm.
or an Aspire, or even YouTube.
Bounce
YouTube,
TV.
and
Mhm.
yeah, Netflix. Those are options as well, that you could get it done on a lower. It doesn't have to. You don't have
Mhm.
to have the full-fledged big budget or whatever and everything like that. You just have to be able to,
Right.
have good acting, and you want to make it a good product. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't want it to
Right.
look cheesy. You got to do it. You got to do it right. And the way that, honestly, the way that a lot of cameras are these days, they got the iPhone. Some of the iPhones, you can use the iPhones to make a movie. They were talking about that.
Yep.
Um, Matter of
Yep.
fact, in Creed 3, Michael B. Jordan
Mhm.
was saying they shot that movie. Part of that movie was shot with I think it was like
Mhm.
The IMAX camera or something like that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
don't think you've got to have a ton of stuff in order to be able to
Yep.
take your book and make it into a
Yep.
movie. All of
Yep.
those things. And you gotta let me know this. Was this movie in the movies, or was this something that was
No.
directly on like a Netflix, or I
No.
know I watched it on Tubi. I think it
Tubi.
was. I think,
Mhm.
yeah, I
Tubi
think I
now.
watched it on Tubi. Um it was a, you can't say DVD anymore, straight to DVD. It was a DVD movie,
Right.
but it was a digital. I say a digital. I'll
Yeah.
give it that.
Yeah.
It was a digital movie. It was
Yeah.
a digital movie version, and
Yeah.
and and that is just as good. And I'm gonna mention you, because you mentioned BT real quick, but I know you probably saw it, but the movie called Black Coffee.
Oh, that's one of my favorites. I've seen that movie like 27 times.
I watch it all the time,
It's like,
and
me
and I,
too.
I mean, look, yeah, I'm a Christian Keys fan,
Me too.
but my
Oh, Basine. That's Basine's outside of Bobby Brown is
is that a
Christian
crush?
Keith. That's she loved and my kids too, and I love them too.
Yeah, let me
Christian.
tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
That brother got a story. I don't know if you know if you know
His
his back.
foster care and all of that.
Yeah, his
Mm-hmm.
backstory is actually
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. But
Mm-hmm.
things
It's a
like
good
that, things
movie.
like this movie, For the Love of Ruth, these are movies that can be made, and you don't have to go to the movie theaters, and you can still get A-list actors. I mean, Loretta Devine, come on, you know. And I even though she didn't have a big part in here, but Brayley Evans, I like
Devin.
her. I think
Me too.
she's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that we talked, the cousin, the one that plays, that's the doctor that was the doctor on Grey's
James
Anatomy.
Pinkett Jr. James
Yeah.
Pinkett Jr. Mm-hmm.
I think he's a good actor, and even Denise Boutté, she's a good actress too. I don't want to take anything
And
from
she's the main
her.
role. She's main.
Right.
She's the main role.
Yeah, she's the main character here,
So let
and
me
it's just
tell the people what it's about.
yeah,
Let me tell the people what
yeah.
it's about.
How they wrote the story was phenomenal.
Okay, so this is a Swirl film, and Swirl Films does a lot of the independent Black movies.
Yep.
So For the Love of Ruth follows the journey of Ruth Sommerling, played by Boutté, who is orphaned as a child and currently residing in a women's shelter, has lived a life filled with pain and disappointment. In rapid succession, Ruth marries Nicholas Marachond, but a dreadful accident, which was so sad, accident leaves her widowed. Refusing to abandon the new family ties she's formed, Ruth develops a close bond with the matriarch of the Marachond family, Naomi Marachond, which is played by Devine. Naomi's brother-in-law, Stephen Pinkins, who he plays, Stephen Pinkins Jr. plays, discourages this connection and voices his suspicion of Ruth's intentions. Ultimately, the love she desires all her life is found in Naomi's reclusive cousin, Braxton, played by Dordan, who, despite objections from others, showers Ruth with love and kindness. Now, this is Swirl Friends definition. I wouldn't use this. To me, this doesn't give what the movie is giving. And this is theirs. I would have, as a writer, and I've done blurbs for movies and shows and different things like that, I wouldn't have wrote that. Because when I just read that, does that make you really know what this movie is about?
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a say cookie cutter. Just kind of there. It's not something that's going to make you say, "Ooh, this is something I want
No,
to sit down and
it's
watch."
not.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not. So
It
let
doesn't.
us talk
It's a
about
bland. It's
it. So I'm
bland.
going to
You
give
know what I'm
my
saying?
definition. So I'm going to give mine. I'm not, that's theirs. So this movie is about Naomi and Ruth, right? Ruth never had anybody to love her. Her parents died when she was young. She ended up going in a transition house where Naomi used to volunteer. And she starts working at a diner. She meets her best friend who introduces her to Naomi and their sons, which makes it her family. So automatically they start gelling and become this family that she's never had. So now she ends up falling in love with Naomi's son, and this was the first time she ever experienced love like this in this family unit. And Brayley Evans's character was married to the other son. So now you have Naomi, her two sons, and their two wives, and they're living happy as a cohesive family. They finally get good jobs, the two sons, and then they have a construction accident, which is a freak accident. So Naomi loses both her sons, and the women lose both their husbands. So now Naomi, who was married, who had already lost her husband, is from Savannah, Georgia. And now she's like, I lost my sons. I want to go back home, right? They're like, what are you talking about? You don't have a home anymore. This is your home. So she tells the young girls who were married to her son to go ahead, live your life. You're still young. You can find new husbands. I'm going to go back to which I came, right? And the daughters are both trying to go with her. And she's like, no, you're young. Go on with your life. Well, Denise Boutté, who now finally, who plays Ruth, she's never had a family. And now Naomi is the closest that she's ever had to family. And she's like, I'm going with you. So they go back to Savannah, and Naomi thinks she still has her house. Not to mention, Naomi is sick, like real sick. And she doesn't know, Ruth doesn't know how sick, but she's sick. So they go back to Savannah and find out that Stephen, the who plays by Pinkins, is not giving her keys back to her house, and it goes on a journey. Naomi gets sick, and then they don't have a job, don't have money. They're living in a motel, ratty motel. Naomi is sick. She's doesn't want to be a burden. So what she does is starts trying to clean for the hotel. She can barely walk, barely breathe, and all of that. Ruth finds out, like, listen, I got us. I'm going to try to find a job. She goes to this farm. She steals this fruit. When she steals the fruit, right, they see her steal it. She has no idea that is the Boaz, right, played by Dordan. And he happens to be the nephew of Naomi, from her husband, the Marachond side. So they let her take the fruit, which we're going to talk about that. They let her, he says she's only taking what she needs. She's still in the fruit. She, comes back. She applies for a job after Naomi's like, wait a minute, that's the nicest one in the family, gives her a job. And Naomi passes away. And now Ruth has her Boaz, which she thinks that Naomi set up by praying. And that's the movie. All right. Where you want to jump in? What you want to talk about? Okay. I just want to say this one thing first. It's so powerful that God sets you up and gives you what you need along the way, and you have no idea what you're going to need it for. I'm going to give you an example. Remember when Ruth was, when Naomi's son liked Ruth, and they were sitting on the porch before they got married, or standing on the porch, and she was watering the plants, and she said, I used to work in a farm, I used to work in a nursery, right? Who knew that skill doing that would lead her to meet her Boaz? Because they asked her, hey, have you ever worked in, and she did. And when she was working before, or she was doing those plants, she never thought that something as simple as that would lead her to her destiny. That's so deep to me. But go ahead.
Well, you got to remember in the Bible, from that story, Ruth worked in the field
Mm-hmm.
where Boaz owned that land that she was working on. So I think they took it and Hollywooded it up, where she would go, and Braxton owns this, this farm, and everything, and she winds up coming to work for him, and everything like that. But who, even from the Bible version of it, all of that taking place with Naomi, uh,
Can you see? Mm-hmm.
her sticking with Naomi and saying, okay, I'm going to do this, and then being put into the position to meet Boaz. Um, that goes to what we are, what we should believe, and that our steps, all of our steps, are
Or
ordered
order.
by God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there was no coincidence that Naomi in the Bible and Naomi in this movie, that was her skill set, and it put her into the position to meet this man who owned this field, or owned this land that she would be on, that would garner her attention and wind up as his wife.
Mm-hmm.
It all, when we allow God's will to take place. I mean, it's going to take place either way. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a matter of the easy way or the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I
Mm-hmm.
say.
Right.
It's gonna happen. It's just gonna
You want the
happen.
sprint, or you
I,
want the long cross country?
I mean, I always talk about the story of Jonah. Jonah was gonna go to Nineveh. He just chose the hard way to go to Nineveh, because he had the opportunity in the beginning. He was like, "Nah, I ain't trying to go over there. Matter of fact, I ain't going over there. I'm gonna go in totally the opposite direction." And he wound up going in the opposite direction and having to come back through everything that he'd gone through to
Mm-hmm.
get where God wanted him to be. So
Mm-hmm.
Naomi, in this story,
Hard
Naomi, even with the abandonment, and I like how they made that story with Naomi, where she was a foster child. She had
Ruth. Ruth.
those. I
Ruth.
mean, Ruth. I'm sorry. The abandonment,
Mm-hmm.
not feeling like she belonged, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody that she encountered in her life seemed to be
Mm-hmm.
taken away. And we got to talk about that. Everybody in her life that
That's
she
yeah.
that she tried to get attached to,
Yeah.
she felt as if they were taken away.
Yeah.
She falls in love with the young man. He
Yeah.
dies. She
Yeah.
meets the family of
Yeah.
her best friend, and
Mm-hmm.
and they wound up, both of them wound up losing their husbands and everything like that. But Ruth had more of a past with that than a Brayley Evans character,
Yeah.
and that had to hurt. And then here she was. She finally, she finds this family that she felt comfortable enough with. She loses her husband out of it. Then the mother is trying to tell her, no, you ain't gotta stay. Don't worry about me. I'll be all right. She like, no, I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
You all I got.
You're the only family I have.
Yeah. So she wasn't. Yeah. So with that, the way that they told that story, yeah, Ruth wasn't going anywhere. She
Yeah.
was like, we in the, I'm here with you. I'm here with you.
And I'm
And I love that. I love that they told it that way.
Yeah. And I just looked up lessons from Ruth and Naomi, like the real ones in the Bible. And
Hmm.
this says the book of Ruth is a beautiful example of how God can take a hopeless situation and turn it into something glorious. And
Hmm.
the story begins in tragedy with famine and the death of Ruth and Naomi's husband. So in the Bible is Ruth and Naomi's husband, right? But because Ruth is loyal and faithful, God rewards her.
Hmm.
So we saw
Yeah.
that in this movie for the love of Ruth, because she was a faithful servant, if you will, to Naomi. She wanted to take care of her. She would be like, don't worry, I got this. She was trying to get on the bus, trying to steal the fruit so she can eat because she needs to eat healthy. She was like, who's going to take care of you? And she really made it her mission. Like, you showed me love and you were willing, you took me in and willing to take care of me. How she was like, oh, she ain't gonna pack your stuff up. You come and live with us. And she was like, because she was trying to hide that she lived in a women's shelter, remember? And she was like,
Hmm.
pack her stuff up. She coming with us.
Yep.
And Braylee's character is looking like, you know, but that's so powerful that because she was loyal and faithful, that God rewarded her. And some may say, well, how is a Boaz or how is a man a reward? It's not the man that's the reward, it's she got the desires of her heart to be loved that way, to have a family. And we see, that she has a baby and all of that. And even at the end, she was like, Naomi, you knew. It's so powerful and so many lessons. What other lessons did you get from this movie? And sorry, it's a spoiler alert. It is free on Tubi. Definitely watch it. It came out in 2015, so it's past the cutoff. If it came out in 2020 or 2022, we might curtail around it. But of course, we usually do older movies. Let's see. One of my favorite movies every time. It still brings me to tears. I know. We're live on Instagram too. I've seen that movie. Leroy saw the movie, if you're just tuning in, 3 times in a week, right? I've seen it 50, 11 times over the years. And I was like, I'm watching it again last night. I was up watching it again. And I love watching movies multiple times. And like I said, I seen it when it came out in 2015 and a whole bunch of times in between that. But I love watching movies multiple times because no matter how many times you see it, you get something from it, depending on what space you're in your life or what's happening or the little details. Do you find that too? When you watched it the 3 times in one week, did you find that you got different gems in the movie?
Yeah, because you get to see some things that you might have missed. Like even when Braxton goes to see Steven. I was trying to figure out because I had missed it I think the first 2 times. And I was like, well, I wanted to see it because I was going to be by myself and I was going to be able to focus in on it.
Mm-hmm.
When he went to his office
Yes.
and how their disgruntledness, what that rift between them was, because they were
Because of the
cousins.
girl.
Because they were cousins. So trying to seeing that, but then also, just other little things, what the fight was about in the beginning when Ruth was at the in the restaurant, and the guests, or the people, the customers that were in there. She wound up starting to starting to fight, and they got to take her outside and everything like that. They're just catching little things
Yeah.
in in there that you thought about. And even the end of the movie, I think I must have missed it or something, because I didn't realize that they showed at the end of the movie, they show
The
Ruth,
baby.
Braxton, and the baby.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
But
So
it's so
I,
funny. Go ahead. No, go. You go.
no, I was just gonna say that's just how you catch movies when you watch a movie over a number of times.
Hmm.
You will
Hmm.
catch different things about it. Be like, oh, okay, I
Hmm.
didn't I didn't see that, I didn't hear that
Hmm.
the first time. So it makes it kind of clears up a lot of things, or you get to see things that you missed, or that you thought you thought you saw, but you really didn't see, and you kind of go back, and you get a chance to kind of catch it. So, and this was one of those movies that you really, I know for me, I really paid attention because I wanted to hear what
Yeah.
they were saying, and I even found myself too correlating it to the actual story in the Bible. What was, well, how was this similar to what was in the Bible? Did they kind of stay true to what that story was and everything like that? They
Yeah.
didn't Hollywood
Yeah.
this they didn't Hollywood this story up. It's kind of like the movie The
Yeah.
Gospel. I didn't really that when that one that was about the prodigal son. So
The
the
Boris
way that
Coach.
they interwove, yeah, the way that they interwove this story from the Bible, I thought they did a good job of doing that. And even
Yeah.
they used the characters, but they gave the characters even more of a storyline, because Ruth
Yeah.
was she knew a lot about plants, like you were saying.
Hmm.
Braxton he owns this farm.
Hmm.
Stephen, which I don't even know if there was a that was even in the Bible as
Well,
far as that
it's
goes.
always a nemesis and a hater, even going way
Yeah, so
back
you got
then.
to create. Yeah, yeah. So
You got
you've
to
got to
balance it
create
out.
that. Yeah, you got to create that. So he was that character in there. You always got to. Unfortunately, somebody's got to die. You know, and
That
and
was so
Naomi
sad.
and Naomi was that character that had to pass away in this movie. So you have all of the this had all of the elements
Yeah.
of a good story, of what
Yeah.
makes a good movie,
Yeah.
you know, and everything. So the drama, the family drama, the suspense, the love, the love story that goes along with it. All of those things. So, and I even like the fact that they use Savannah, Georgia.
I know, me
So
too.
yeah,
I
I
love
thought
that.
that was cool.
That was cool. I love to see people fall in love. Like, don't you like to see the organic, like the little,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole process? But like I said, I've seen the movie multiple times. And yesterday, last night, like I'm telling you, I don't even know how many times I've seen it, right? But last night, it dawned on me about her with the plants.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was like, isn't that something? How God set you up. And because I always say that anyway. Like I always say, all the stuff that you did 10 years ago, have no idea was preparing you for today at this
Yep.
moment, because God knew the tools you would need, right? But I didn't even realize. I was like, she's with those plants, and she's talking about she worked in a nursery. And we don't even know in the beginning of a movie that that's going to be what helps her find her Boaz. I could just connected that when I watched it again for the umpteenth time. So
Yeah.
you find different things depending on what you're seeing and how you're looking at it and how intentional you are.
Yeah,
You
and
see,
that's the sign of a good writer as well. Whoever wrote this story for the movie, to make it a movie, how they interwove that, how they made that connection, I
yeah,
thought was really that's good. That's good writing.
yeah,
That's good, right? That's good writing, because you picked up on it. You were like, okay, they interwove her being this, being a, working, having an affinity
Yeah.
for plant, for being a, a farmer type of and everything like that,
Yeah.
that connection. And it led her to what she knew how to do, being on that
Right.
farm.
Right. Because you're thinking like, what? Like in this day and age, she gonna go and that's where she wants to work on a farm. So they still kept the old like element in it,
Right,
where
right,
maybe in 2015 ain't nobody going to put an application in, paper application at that, to go work at a farm.
right,
You know what
right.
I'm saying? So they kept that element still in there. And when you have movies, they do the Rotten Tomatoes
Oh yeah.
online. This
Hmm.
movie got 100%.
Oh
It
wow.
was no
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes on this movie, and it got 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Um, so I'm just looking at the movie, and if you've never seen For the Love of Ruth, it's available on Tubi for free. Tubi, the Tubi app is free. All you got to do is download it on your device. Yeah, and this ain't no Tubi commercial unless they want to sponsor some stuff around here. But you can download it on your smart TV or your phone, your iPad, whatever you have, computer, and you can watch it. It's not on YouTube for free, but it is on Tubi for free. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at this and it's saying, as I look for, and it came out, it's only an hour and 23 minutes long. It's a
Yeah. It's
drama
not long at
romance.
all.
No, it's not a long movie at all. It's a drama romance. Um, I finished watching Overcomer again for the second time while I still had that free trial on Stars. It's over now. It ended yesterday, my free week trial, because I watched it for this show. So let's see. I wanted to see, and that's the only thing, because you guys know we do the movies, we'll tell you what the budget is, and we'll tell you. But this is one of the first movies that we've done that wasn't in the actual movie theater. Do you realize that,
Yeah.
Leroy?
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
one
And I was thinking
that
about
we've
that
done
too.
where, yeah, where it was not in the movie theater, because
Yeah.
all month of May, we're focusing on faith-based inspirational movies. So you guys know we break down classic Black films, all your favorite, Love and Basketball, Best Man, all of them, New Jack City, Babs, Love Jump, all the movies that you love and know, we've done them on here. So definitely follow the More Than Just a Movie playlist. If you don't see your favorite movie on, it might have been in the early season 1 when we didn't realize we couldn't show film clips. So those got pushed to the side because YouTube was like, you don't own the rights to that. So we stopped doing that around season 2.5. So if you don't see your favorite movie, because we've done them all, then that might be why. But I'm looking at. So, what was your favorite part of the movie, Leroy?
Um, I like the fact that um when when they had dinner, I thought that was really cool. When and he was fixing the swing. He was
No,
fixing the swing, and she cooked dinner. She
you
fixed
like the
dinner.
romantic parts.
Yeah. So, um, and he was like, you. I thought I smelled catfish. And I'm like, it's a Southern movie because they fixing catfish. Is in Savannah, Georgia. And she has the ability to be able to, you could tell she was interested in him. He didn't notice her. He noticed her. I think what made him see her in a different light. And
Say it.
I love this
Say it.
song by Shantae
Say it.
Moore and Is it JoJo or KC?
Oh, I see you in a different
Yeah.
light.
Is that KC? Is that
Candlelight.
JoJo? That's
It's
JoJo, isn't it?
JoJo. Yeah,
Okay.
because you know
Yeah.
Shantae
I
Moore, my
love that
favorite singer,
song.
so I'm on it. Me
Yeah,
too.
and I love that. I love that song because
Me too.
some years ago, a friend of mine, she said this, and I noticed it ever since she said this. She said, Leroy, she said, you all as men don't see this or notice this. She said, but there's a point, and I started looking at it in movies, and they do the very same thing in movies. She said, a woman will give a man a look that will it's a look,
Oh,
it's
you always
subtle,
say that.
it's not anything you gotta pay attention to it. If you don't see it, you can miss it. And sure enough, in every single movie, you usually see that. There's this some point
Okay, so what part
that
of this movie did you see it?
well, I think when she was in the office, she was in their office, and one I think she had came back, she had just fussed out Steven. So she's afraid she's gonna
When she kept talking, I was like, girl, stop talking.
yeah, and that's what he said. He said Ruth, and then she was like, "Oh."
Right. Yeah. But guess
It was
what? You're
like,
gonna love this part. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm gonna
no,
say
no, no.
this.
That was, I think that was that point when she was like, "Oh, okay, all right now, okay."
But guess what? To me, even though she was a baddie, gorgeous, right? Nice body, but she was dressed modestly. And guess what he noticed first? Her character.
That
He
wasn't first.
noticed her character because she's already beautiful. And sometimes women think it's just all it is. It's not your beauty,
Right,
it's your
right,
booty, all that
right.
stuff, right? So all of that, right? That she's working with naturally, right? He didn't notice like, she's fine. You never seen him look at her like that. It's the character of her when she stole that fruit
Yep. Yeah,
and they
I
were
will say
peeking
that.
out the window and his manager, his homeboy, his guy, right, was like, she's stealing. And he was like, no, we're after hours, because he didn't know at the time she was stealing. He thought that she was picking, and he was like, let me tell her we're closed. And Boaz said, Gary Dordan was like, don't stop her. She's only taking what she
What she
needs.
needed.
Think about
Hmm.
it. You're not taking a Mercedes Benz. You're not taking a flat screen TV. You're taking fruit. So
Yep.
clearly, you cannot afford fruit or you're hungry, right?
Yep.
But how he fell in love with her character is because she never ever saw anybody looking at her steal. But
Right.
she still
Right.
came back, wrote a letter, and said, I'm going to pay you back from everything I took.
Right.
She didn't have to do that. And that's what character is. That's what integrity is. Who are you when no one is watching, right?
Yep.
So they're looking like, and his homeboys in his ear, like, if you don't see this chick is your woman, because he's hitting his homeboy like, she didn't even have to do this because she didn't even know we saw her. And they're like, I know. That's what y'all guys do. He hitting his homeboy like, this is a good one. And the whole time, the lady that was in Overcomer, remember I told you she was in this movie, who played the wife in Overcomer. She was the lady in The Office.
In the office?
Yeah. The white lady that was married to his white homeboy, that was the lady who played the wife in
Oh, no.
Overcomer.
See, okay, okay. No, no. I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that at all.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
because
what
her
I was
hair was a
telling you.
different color. Maybe her
Yeah,
hair was
but
a
that's
different color.
what I was
Okay.
telling you before, but you probably forgot. That's where I know her from.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
and
Gotcha.
that's how we started talking about For the Love of Ruth.
Okay.
So, do you guys, so what did you think about that? And is that attractive to you as a man? Like, because women think that they see all of this first. And yes, they do with their
It,
eyeball, but not with their
right.
heart, right?
Yeah.
And I've
And
never been a man, so you tell me.
No, but that I think both men and women, the first thing we see is the physical. Let's just be
Hmm.
real. That we can't
Yes.
help but see somebody.
Hmm.
But like you said, for those of us that are real men, that are real women, we go into the character. And that was the reason why, here we go, we're going to move outside of the movie. That was why I believe a lot of people were upset with what Ebony Williams was saying. It ain't have nothing to do with the dude being a bus driver or the owner of the bus driver. She said nothing about a man's character. In that whole conversation, in anything that she said, not once did I hear her say anything about a man's character. And his character and his integrity meant something to her. It was he if he owns the bus. It was I'm trying to, do this and do that. It was never about what a man's character is.
Hmm.
And that aspect of who we are, that's
Hmm.
what we need to be looking for. Once you get past the physical, yes,
Yeah.
whatever's attractive to you. What
Because
is
you
that?
don't want
What
to
is
wake up and be scared.
right? Yeah, absolutely not. Let's be real, y'all. Let's
Oh,
you want to be with you want to be with somebody that you are attracted to.
right.
Doesn't have to be what's attracted to somebody else. It
And
has
there
to
you
be
go.
what's
There you
attractive
go.
to you.
What's easy on
You
your
know,
eyes.
right. And that adage is true. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Very
Who's
true.
beholding the beauty? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
So
That's
who you
true.
be holding?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's the true of it.
Right.
But someone's attractiveness is only going to take you so far, because you do have to get to know who that person
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Who you've
Yep.
got to know them through. I call it the good. I get through all four seasons, the good, bad, and the ugly. You got to know how that person is when the good stuff is going on, and you got to know how that person is when the worst of the
Yeah.
worst is going on.
Yeah.
That'll tell you. That'll give you the true test of their character and their integrity, who
Yeah.
they are. That's what you need to be worried about, more so than what like you were saying. Oh, she's she fitting in them jeans,
Yeah.
or she's this, that, and the other. Those are the things that make relationships work and make
Yeah.
relationships last at the end of the day. Cause
And that's
cause
how you
you
get to, that's why you have
yeah,
to get to know someone so you
correct.
can see what their heart looks like. You can see what their character looks like. You can see what their faith walk looks like. You can see what they believe. And
Yep.
when people jump into relationships quick, I've done it before. When people jump into relationships quicker, with God, because with God, oftentimes it's like that, right? You're not fornicating, you don't want to do, blah, 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 or whatever. And you go maybe in that way, but you have to, in my opinion, you have to see someone in all those seasons, like you said. It's
Yeah.
important to do that.
And
And I
and
think it's important for Christians to do that too, because a lot of times, well, I don't want to fornicate. You'll see people be like, so we got married in 5 months, we got married in 4 months, because they want to get to the getting. And you're not supposed to date long, and and all of that,
well,
biblically people kind of
I've
go, but you really got to see people in all four seasons. You do.
I, I've never believed that people should, say, well, that you have to, would you say, get married quickly. I believe that when you get
Mm-hmm.
married quickly, you don't allow yourself to be able to get to know the person,
a
because
hundred percent
people can put on this mask for. I tell
hundred
people
percent.
they can put on a mask for max 6 months, you know, before, to me, you start to see who that true character is, because you can't hide who you are at your core. You really
No,
can't. You
not
can do it
forever.
for a certain period of time, but after a certain period of time, who you truly are is going to come out.
Yeah.
That it's
Yeah.
really
And
going to
then you can
show.
see if you match.
Hmm.
Because if you have one person like this and one person like this, and you're not evenly yoked, or you don't mesh well or match, you don't know. Because if you're this way, then you might need somebody this way to balance it out, the yin and the yang, right? You might need that evenly yoked. But if you got a representative over here and a representative over here, how are you going to even know if you're evenly yoked or if this person is going to be the yin to your yang. If both
Yeah.
people are pretending, and that's
Yeah.
what people often do in the beginning.
And here's
Not
one.
always, but
Yeah,
often.
here's a surefire way, and I hope y'all hear me as those that are watching, but as men and women, when it comes to relationships, here's a surefire way for you to be able to figure out the character of someone, and
Uh-oh,
that's
let's listen.
no, that's communication and connection. Ask the right questions. Ask the right
Mm,
questions and pay attention. The what somebody not don't just pay attention to what somebody says.
mm-hmm,
Pay attention to what somebody does.
mm,
Those actions. I can tell you anything. I can if I communicate it well enough to with you, Kendall, I can find out what you want. I can find
mm.
out what
That's
what
real.
what
That's
those
real.
things are. But if I'm connecting with you, I'm really the only way that I'm going to be able to tell if what you're that you'll be able to tell if what I'm saying is genuine or if it's
That
just kind of
connection.
me going off of it is if I'm connecting with you
So
off of what
true.
you said.
And connection
So
is so underrated and
it's
valued.
serious. I
Connection
read
is
this.
serious
I
because you can be in love with somebody or love somebody and don't have the connection, and that
yep
love just ain't enough. You
yep
have to have a connection, a spiritual connection, an emotional, a mental connection, a physical connection. It has to be a connectuation up in there, right?
yeah.
And people think love is connection, and love is not connection.
Yeah, and here's the thing, because I read this book last year, one of the best books I've read last year, by John Maxwell, called "Everyone Communicates, Few Connect," and it was
Mm-hmm.
about connecting with people, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's connecting in family, connecting in a personal, in a professional level. You know how you connect with the audience and how you connect with the people that you work with, connecting as a leader, but then also how do you connect in your personal relationships
Yeah.
and being able to do that. That's what we're missing in this day
Yeah.
and age with relationships. That's what was missing in that conversation between Iyanla Van Zandt and Ebony Williams. There was no connection with her. I guarantee you, the reason her relationships did not work was because she had no connection with those men.
Mm,
There was no genuine
mm.
connection. She even said it with her marriage, her previous marriage. She said that he wanted her to put a priority on the relationship and on on the relationship and on him. And she
Yeah.
said she wasn't willing to do it.
Yeah. It's
She was
important to
not.
connect.
It
And
was
you can
more.
tell, especially when you're in a relationship and things are not going well or you're out of the relationship, you can tell and looking back and looking to see if you connected with that person or not.
Yeah,
If you're really
and
honest.
yeah. I mean, and her connection was more with about her, what she was trying to accomplish as far as her career and a job and everything, more so than the relationship. Which, hey,
Yeah.
if that's the way you feeling, that's the way
Yeah.
you feeling.
Yeah.
But you have an obligation to communicate that and let that person know, because
Yeah.
you see there was no connection after that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and she'll
Because
continue to reap that.
yeah.
She'll continue to reap that as long as she doesn't get that. That I've got to
Yeah.
connect with this person, connect with that person that you have the relationship with. I
Yeah.
promise you, check with anyone that's been married for a number of years 15, 25, 35, 45,
I
55
ain't
years.
make it that
I,
long.
but I promise you, the foundational piece that I believe that they will tell you is communication and connection.
I agree.
You see it. You see it in them.
Communication is huge.
Yep.
Connection is huge. Those are two huge factors in
Yeah.
having a successful relationship or marriage.
Yep.
It's
I,
successful if you're in a friendship, family,
yep.
because friendships, are you with friends that you don't connect to or connect with?
A-
Think
Ask
about
Jay
it. I
Moran.
mean, or if you cannot even be comfortable enough to connect, to communicate.
Yep.
Exactly. Communication is the key. And people say that, but You know what I mean? People always say that, but it's so true. So you can't even, and with me, I always say my love language is safe. If I'm safe with you and I feel safe, and safe doesn't mean, if somebody says boo, then you're able to say it. Yes, physical safety is important, but my emotional and mental safety is vulnerable and share all of me and share my heart, and I feel like I'm loved in that way, right? And listened to and connecting and communicating. Like that's very important. Like to feel safe, because when we talk about this all the time, when men hear women say, I need to feel safe, they automatically think bodyguard safe. And yes, we need that
Correct.
too. But most of the time when
Correct.
women say we need safety, we want to feel safe
Well,
in those
let-
emotional ways as well.
but let me ask you this, because you just went exactly where I wanted you to go with that. But do women communicate that to men, or is it they're only when, because when I hear those conversations, women say safe. Here we go again. I got to go there. But when they talk about
I have
safe,
communicated it before. I have communicated that
yeah,
before. But what I have learned too about people over the years, whether it's coaching or my personal life or my friends' lives, right? What I have learned and what I know for sure is people can only give you what they have.
hmm
They may not have the capacity that you need, right? Or vice versa. People can
correct.
only give it. And when people go into relationships, most people think love is a one size fits all. Most people think I'm going to love this person the same way I love the last person. And it don't work that way. Everybody needs to be loved based on individuality. That's why it's important to communicate, and that's why connection is important.
And here's the thing: when and you just brought up something that's really really deep, Kendall, because you went further into that feeling safe. And
Mhm.
and a lot of times, you said it perfectly about the capacity. Do we men, when you talk about being able to give a woman the capacity to make her feel safe in the other aspects of her, who she is, can you make her feel safe emotionally?
I can
Can you
tell you an
make her?
example.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
If a
Do
woman,
women
say
think?
for instance, if a woman is crying, right?
Mhm,
Let's just say woman's crying. And what if a man says, why are you crying? You crying over everything. You a
mhm,
crybaby, right? Joking or serious. Do you think
mhm.
that that woman's going to cry in front of that person again? Do you think that that woman is going to be safe to share her emotional feelings and her
No.
vulnerability? No. So then you got the stereotype, let's say, of the angry black woman, or a woman that's stern, or the boss woman, or the entrepreneur woman, or the woman who is
She
running this or running that. Then they're going to be like, that
Wait
woman
a minute, wait a minute
so
now, wait a minute,
hard.
wait a minute now, wait a minute now, wait a minute now. You getting into the masculine energy. You know what I'm saying?
Right, 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 right. That's exactly. But then a man would say that woman doesn't share her feelings or emotion, or she's emotionally disconnected, or she's too hard. But then the man doesn't remember when she was vulnerable, and this is the
Yep.
response. So that's why communication is so important. I believe in nipping stuff in the bud right then. Say, hey, I feel this way, or you may, as a life coach, even with my clients, I say, listen, you have to tell people how they made you feel in real
Yeah.
time. In
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
time. Because if you bring something back from 3 weeks ago, they ain't gonna remember it. And you
Yeah.
gonna say,
Yeah.
you know what? Just forget it. That's what you're gonna say.
Right.
And then it happens again. And then you like, well, it didn't happen the first time, so I'm not gonna say nothing. Then you have these bricks built. And then you
Yep.
have this wall in between the couple. And then they look and they both can't knock the wall down. They wondering how the wall got there.
And see, here's the thing too, what you just said, because that's everything that you just said. If you were to reverse that, and it was the man that was showed up vulnerable, and the woman did the exact same thing, that's exact same scenario would happen, where
Yes,
he would
for
shut
sure.
down. And people don't understand this,
For
that
sure.
we as men and
Men have
women,
feelings too.
yeah,
And they,
and men and women, we're so much more alike than we are
yeah,
apart, and what we need
yeah,
in relationship. And that's the one true thing that I believe that people don't see. They want to pit this, the gender wars, that type of thing. They want to pit that because that's what society wants. But we are so much more alike
we are.
than we
We
are
are.
different. And when you
We
have
are.
these types of scenarios where you want someone to open up, or you want someone to be able to, you want to see, because I had a conversation with someone the other day, and it was just like, oh wow, you really felt like that. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's not
Because
that's
some
not what
people
I
don't take
saw.
the time, but some people don't even take the time to know it, to really understand somebody else's feelings or emotion.
Right.
Because when people say, "How are you?"
Hmm.
right? Nobody stops to wait to listen. People say, "How
No.
are you walking?" I reposted this on my Instagram and my new TikTok, right? And it was August Alsina.
Oh, okay.
And the
Hmm.
interviewer, look on my page, and the interviewer
No, I
asked,
saw that. I couldn't hear him though, because he was speaking so soft and the music was so loud. I couldn't even hear what he was saying.
you turn it up. You can hear it clear. You can hear it
Okay.
clear. Turn it up.
Okay.
And he says, she asked, and that's my kind of interview. Those are the kind of interviews I do. I don't care. You're a celebrity, but we're going to have real conversation. Even when I
Right.
interview celebrities, I like to go past. Even when I interview Ronnie DeVoe and Shamari, and you know how I love New Edition. It wasn't a
Oh,
New Edition interview. We talked about mental health. Shamari gave me an exclusive. Well, Ronnie spilled the beans, but that's when she said that she suffered from anxiety. We talked about mental health. We talked about marriage. We got deep, right? So when I heard that interviewer ask August Alsina, they weren't talking about no entanglement. They wasn't talking about Lady Jada. She said, "How are you doing?"
yeah, she did ask him that.
Right?
Yep.
And
I
he
did. Yep.
paused.
Yeah.
And he paused,
Yeah.
probably paused because of shock, because everybody just wants shock value, right? So
Correct.
he said, and he paused, tearing up. He was like, and I'm going to sum it up. You got to watch it. "I'm going through the process of my healing journey." When he said that, I was trembling because
Yeah.
this black man
And he's still
said,
under 30, isn't he?
yes, this black man, he might be around that, but this
Yeah, he's got
black
to be
man
around
said,
30.
"I'm
Yeah.
not good. I'm processing my healing, and I'm trying to make it through." And
Yeah.
I
I
was
mean, and
so
he's still
darn
hurting.
proud of him, so
Yeah.
proud of him, because so many people, especially men, especially black men, feel like they have to live up to this facade about hard. "I'm good. I'm all right. What? Like, feel like they have to live up to that. That we have made black men feel like they cannot express emotions, cannot emote and be vulnerable. And that's a lot of our fault as women, as black women, right? That's some of us need to own that, right? And it's so important to allow a man to be able to be vulnerable and to be able to speak in that way. I was so darn proud of him. I was so proud of him. I was just like almost in tears. I was tearing up. And that's what it is. So I want to go. We're ending the show, and this is what we talk more than just a movie. We make this more. I am healing right now after hiding and living up to being strong. Sharon. Now we can talk about that. I wrote a piece in the Black Girls Activists book. Uh, and it's available on Amazon.com. And it's a whole collective of Black women. And we could write about what we want to change dynamics of, that Black girl. I wrote about the strong Black woman. My cape is off. My cape is over there somewhere. I done ran my cape over by a car. I done threw it in the dumpster. I done put it down the garbage disposal. I don't wear no strong Black woman cape no more. what is doesn't have to be reinforced and keep talking about. We already know we strong. We was born strong. We came into this world strong. We done survived the trauma that we came 400 years ago. Now we know Black women are resilient. We know Black women are strong. But I think saying that over and over again, I even did a video on my YouTube channel. Y'all check that out. And we don't have to keep saying that, right? We
Well,
want to take our capes off. But if
are
we're in a
they?
relationship, we want to feel safe to connect, to be vulnerable, to be able to communicate so we can throw them in the trash. But so many Black women have been walking around with that now they don't even know how to be soft and pink. They don't even know how to say, I'm weak. It ain't
Well,
nothing
but
wrong
see,
with saying I'm weak. Ain't nothing wrong with saying I need a mental health day because this world is on my back.
here's the thing that I really believe. I think that
Yeah.
sometimes I think, and you tell me if this is true or not, because you're a woman. A lot of times that is a protective measure when you
For
hear
sure.
women saying it's a protective measure. It's a mask that women have been just the same way that you all use that protective measure as far as I'm strong, I'm independent. You hear men as because we've been taught as little boys that you can't show emotion, that you can't show vulnerability because you're going to be seen as weak, and when you're seen as weak, then
And
you
tell
get
little
preyed
boys
upon.
to shut up and man up and they 5 years
Yeah,
old.
you
How they
get you
gonna
get
man up
preyed.
and they 5 years old?
Yeah, and you get preyed upon if you show that vulnerability. And even with you, even with women, you all, when you show that vulnerability, you all have gotten used. You all have gotten walked over. So as a protective measure, I've got to do as us men have been taught to be,
Mm-hmm.
strong, to show that
Mm-hmm.
independence, that I don't need you. And then when it's called upon for you to act, to like you were saying, be softer. It's like, this is all I know is to be this way. Just like we as men, when you all
Mm-hmm.
asked us, well, why isn't he, more open and communicating more? Because if that's, and I think you said that if that's all you know is this one way,
Mm-hmm.
and no one ever taught you that there's the seesaw
Mm-hmm.
balance that you have to
Mm-hmm.
have between
Mm-hmm.
the knowing when to exert,
You
that
saying absolutely.
that when you need to step up and be a certain way, hard or whatever. But then there's also another part that you can also exert yourself and still be, not have to be, show that vulnerability and everything like that. And there's nothing wrong with either one of them.
Yes.
It's
The
about how
ladies are
you
agreeing with you. They're agreeing with you, Leroy.
definitely having, you've got to have that balance. And we, as like I told you, and I'm gonna keep saying this, we are more alike than we are different. We both have to have that balance. We have to walk with that balance. We have to understand that there is a balance, and not demean either one of us for being that way.
Yes.
And that's the problem, is we get demeaned by it, so that we feel as if we have to act the one way or the other,
Yes.
instead of
You're
being.
watching from here. If you want to see Leroy, go to my YouTube channel, Kendall Lenice, and you'll see who's talking. If you want a visual, if not, stay right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those are the things that we have to do. And I think Braxton saw Ruth's genuineness, one, the way
Yes.
that he was with Naomi.
Her pure heart.
Her pure heart, right? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
He saw her pure heart. He saw who she was, her integrity and character
One00%.
outshine what you were saying, the beauty that she had.
Right.
The physicalness was just
That was the bonus.
that was the
That was
bone.
the
That was just
bonus.
the icing on the cake. But
And
the
look,
cake,
and she fine. Look, and she fine
right?
too.
The
That's like,
the ingredients of the cake was strong in and of itself. But you telling me you
come
putting
on,
icing
Leroy.
on it too? You
Come
putting
on.
icing on it too?
The ingredients of the
Yeah.
cake, it was organic. Come on. Yes.
So
Right.
Braxton was like, yeah, he was like, man, yeah, I got something here that I need to pay attention to, because even
Yeah.
he had been hurt before.
Yeah.
Remember the girl that his ex girlfriend that showed up, that the cousin had brought back into his, tried to bring back around and everything, and she wasn't nothing but hurt him for his money and everything like that.
Because she was
So
out to get his money and she
yeah,
didn't have a pure heart. So when a man
not at
has a
all.
woman who doesn't have a pure heart, he could easily spot a woman who has a pure heart, right? So Ruth was the
Mm,
opposite because she was gold digging. She was about the gold. She was about what she can get. And they made sure her appearance showed that. That's not
match
always
that.
true, but it matched
Right.
that. So when you have a woman that you were in love with that didn't have a pure heart, right? And then you find a woman who does, you're able to recognize that a lot sooner. She was trying to pay him back. She wasn't pretentious. He saw, like you said, the way she took care of Naomi. He saw
Mm-hmm.
that. And most men want that in a woman,
Yeah.
right? But then you
Yeah.
have the other side we were talking about where women have given men the soft and the pink and the sweet and the pure heart and everything. And then if a man doesn't match it or stand up to that, then a woman gets back in her shell and now you see the hard part of the shell. So that's
Yeah.
why it's important to use discernment and wisdom because you cannot give everybody, guard your heart. You cannot give everyone your heart. And you have to use discernment and wisdom because everybody is not ready for your heart and who you are on the inside. Because some
No,
people will
but
love it and cherish it,
here's
and
the
some
big
people will take
thing.
advantage of it.
Here's the big thing about that,
And then we're gonna
Kendall.
go.
Yeah, what you just said about guarding your heart. And I think that we as men and women, we aren't careful of who we trust our heart to, and we've
Yes,
trusted our hearts to the wrong people. Those
yes.
people that have used our hearts or have misused our hearts. So that's why you've got to be careful in who you select to give your heart to, and
So true.
who you are in a relationship with,
Super intentional.
and and making sure, is this and ask yourself this question: is this person worthy of my heart?
Because every
Ha-
season and every chapter of your life, hopefully you've grown and you've learned. And if even if somebody was worthy of your heart last season, last chapter, in this new season, in this new chapter, they may not.
here it is. Do you, and this is for everybody, this is men and women. Here's a question that you have to ask yourself. Now you ain't got to ask the person that you're in a relationship with, but you for sure better
Or
ask
the person
yourself.
sitting next to you,
I know, just
like in
but
church.
you know, ask yourself this question: can I trust this person with my heart?
Mm, that's the safety I was talking about.
Right. Do they make me feel safe? Can I trust them?
But some people
With,
can make you feel safe for a season,
yeah, but
and
that,
then
like I
you
said,
see
but
they keep.
that aware, that goes away.
Mhm,
That goes. Trust me.
mhm,
That's where looking at, like you were saying. That's where looking at their character
mhm.
comes in.
It's not
That's where
ignoring
looking
my sign.
who they are at their core. They're fundamental things that we are as people, as we are as men, as we are as women, and as individuals. You have to ask yourself, the person that you're in a relationship with, you're thinking about getting in a relationship with, who are they at their core? Because your core does not change. So,
Mm.
like you were saying, that people change, and they do.
But
We all, because
the
we
essence
all
of
do.
the person
Yeah,
doesn't
we
change.
yeah we grow. The person that we were at 20 is not the person that we are now at 50.
Shoot, the person I
You,
was yesterday, I ain't
yeah,
today.
right.
'Cause
So we
because
do
I'm on elevate,
change.
you know what I mean? That's
Right,
my goal.
right. But here's the thing, Kendall. The core of who you are, has that changed?
No, not since I was a little girl. Nope.
That doesn't change.
Nope.
That stays who we are, and that's where we got to look. Not
Mhm.
at the exterior things,
Mm-hmm.
who Kendall is at the core of who she is. Is she friendly? Is she courteous? Like we said, we described Naomi. When we described Ruth, what
Kind.
did you
Is
say
she
Ruth was?
generous? Cousins. Is she generous? Is she kind?
All of those characteristics. She was trustworthy. She was honest. Those are core things that don't change about people if they
Mm-hmm.
are that type of person.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's
what we
good.
look for. That's what at the end of the day, that's what Boaz was looking for. And he found it. He found it in Ruth.
That's a good way to end it. He found it in Ruth. But this is the something. I love the way you phrase that. He found it in Ruth. So all you women out there trying to find your Boaz, he ain't you ain't supposed to be trying to find
No,
him.
no, I'm not gonna say that. She better look too.
Well,
She
no, the
better
woman
be she
don't need
better
to
be
look. You just need to keep her eyes open.
no, no, because the truth of the matter, they I think they were both looking for each other, or they would not have found each other. So, like I told you, we are more alike than we are different, and we want the same things,
Yeah.
and we've
But I
got to
know
look. You've
what
got to, as women, y'all got to look at the core of who that man is, because I'm telling you, it's gotten a
exactly.
lot of women in trouble when they haven't looked at. They're looking at the exterior, and I hate to go there, but that's looking at the exterior. When you talk about that's why Iyanla Van Zandt said it had nothing to do with the bus driver. It has to do with the core of who he is.
The core.
And
Right.
if you're looking at that at the core of who he is, then all of the other stuff will be there. I promise
Whew. We're gonna end right there. Well, I just want to say I saw when Ruth fell in love with him when homegirl came and she got all dressed in that
you.
dress
Oh,
and she looked out the
she
window.
got hot, didn't she?
Oh,
Yep.
she was like, be like when he was helping her with her coat and stuff.
Yep.
He was looking. They
Yep.
was going on a double dates with his homeboy and the wife, and
Yep.
she saw that lady come up, and she
Yep.
looked. And she looked, she was so disturbed, she wanted to call in sick, fully dressed in a way. How you gonna call in sick? You dressed, get ready to walk out the door for work. And she saw that.
For
But
sure. Yeah,
and
she
that
got a little
shows,
hot.
right. So that shows no matter how your life starts, it could end exactly how you dreamt it to be. But you gotta have that through part that I often talk about. You gotta go through it to
Yeah.
get to it. And when she
Yeah.
got to it, she became an instant millionaire. She done became a mama. She done became a wife. And she got that permanent smile on her face. And at the end of the movie, she said, "This is the beginning."
Yeah. And I love that. Did you notice that too? It didn't say the end. It said the beginning. I thought that was so genuine in the writing and being able to do that because it was subtle, and I don't know if how many people paid attention to that.
Yep.
I thought
Yep.
that was cool. That's the first time I'd ever seen that. I don't think anybody's ever else has ever done that.
I love
Yeah.
talking about movies with my brother Leroy, as you can see. This I got another show at 7, but this could be like me and Leroy could be on here all day, literally talking because y'all see it's more than just a movie.
Yeah.
Like the way we break it down and really have real life conversations. We got Instagram fully involved. Thank
Cool.
y'all. I appreciate y'all for
Absolutely.
tuning in. We had
You
some
gotta
people.
send me that Instagram too. Make sure you save
Yeah,
that. Make sure you save
yeah.
that or pin it so I can
Yeah.
grab it. Okay.
And they were agreeing with you. They were agreeing with. See, Leroy is a different type of dude. Leroy is honest in his feelings and even how men are. You know how some men take up for other men and they just think, oh, team, he man. He's not. You have a sensitive side that can see both. And that's what I really love about you. And you're not the typical, and even when we talk, like I'm not gonna be on the woman's side if the woman's side is wrong.
Yep. Yep.
I'm not going. It's and my daughter would say, "Ma, you always take the men's side." No, I take the side that's right or wrong. Now I still got my women's back, and I'm still gonna hold it down for the ladies. But we have to be able to have honest conversations and admit certain things so we can be better together. Because that's the goal, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Well, you're
Exactly.
welcome. Because anytime, I just wish Let me see. I just wish my family would talk to me again. We got to talk
Mm.
another we got to talk
Oh
about that
wow.
because
Wow.
I pray that your family,
Yeah.
and it could be God removing them. I don't know what happened. I don't want to, I'm not a prophet, but it could be God removing them. Pastor
Mm.
Darius
Yep.
Dennis did this one um what was that? No, was it on? It was something too. He did something on it, but it was this guy on TikTok. I'm gonna try to find it. And it's a lot of pastors over there. And he was like, he was like, yo, God, people say God removes people from your life. He said, but I seen it. He said sometimes it'd be 0, down to 1, down to 3, back up to 10, and then you sitting there by yourself. Something like that. And it was so true. But you have to, I don't know if your family was toxic. I don't know if
Hmm.
it was dysfunctional. I don't know if it caused you more pain than good. And a lot of times
Yeah.
people think because it's family, I cannot set boundaries. I have to accept everything family gives, but you don't.
Yeah.
So this might
Yeah.
be a season where you have to be by yourself so you can see from clearer eyes and understand what's going on in the family dynamic, because
Yeah.
it could be more harmful for them to be super close to you at this moment. So you got to pray on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
All
good.
right.
That's good. That's good stuff. That's good stuff,
Whew.
lady.
Thank
So
you. All right, Leroy, you can end the show. End the show.
y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is. So it's another episode, more than just a movie, where we break down. We are here every week, every Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come get your movie on, but it ain't gonna be the normal way of that you talk about movies here. You just not gonna get it. You see how we got heavy with this one.
This
So
was deep.
and it be like that sometimes. That's how we
Unscripted.
do, and we take real life and we try to merge and mix real life with the movies that we see, because it is sometimes it is art imitating life, but a lot of times it's life imitating art in the same way. So we want to talk about it in that way. But you want to make sure that you go subscribe for the YouTube. I mean, subscribe to Kendall's YouTube channel. You can hop on over to my YouTube channel too, and subscribe there too. So you can do that. But then also the Instagram, go check both of our Instagram pages out. Kendall will give you what hers is, because I don't know if it's just Kendall. Is it just Kendall Lenice for
Mhm,
your Instagram page as well?
mhm.
But you want to make sure that you subscribe there. Mine is Dr. LJ Speaks. You can go subscribe there. Make sure that you subscribe there. Follow me on there as well too. We just have hopefully just some good stuff that your good information that makes us better. That's all we trying to do at
Yes.
the end of the day.
Yes. Yes.
That's all we try to do.
And
Even
I,
in this form,
yes.
we still want to make you better. You
Yes,
know.
and that's why this is my brother for life. I want you to have more than just a movie on your channel as well. So what you do is set up a playlist that says more than just a movie as well, and you can share them to yours so people can see it on your page as well.
Yep,
That
absolutely.
way.
Don't forget
All
to,
right.
to subscribe and comment as well too. Like, share, subscribe, and comment, y'all.
All right, y'all. Until next Thursday. What movie were we gonna do to end the inspirational in May? We'll talk about it. We'll confer. And we'll get back to y'all. But thank y'all so much for watching More Than Just a Movie. MT Jams, More Than Just a Movie show, where we break down classic Black films. In this month, inspirational films. Man, real life films are deep, ain't they? Thank y'all so much for watching. God bless y'all. Peace.